Inflation just reportedly hit an almost 40-year high, with cost of living going up 6.8% year over year. And the worst part is it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon, with Jerome Powell taking back his former stance when he said that this inflation was transitory. So how long is this inflation going to last? How bad is it going to get? And what can you do to protect yourself against this inflation? Well, these are questions that everyone's asking in America right now, and because of that, today I'm going to explain exactly what's going on with this whole inflation crisis, along with what you can do to better protect yourself against inflation. But before I get started, do me a favor, support the channel and smash that like button. And if you haven't already done so, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell to watch more content like this. And with that said, let's jump into it. For the past 30 years, America has typically averaged about 1 to 2% inflation, with the occasional year getting over 3%. Well, the latest inflation report recently came out showing the cost of living is currently up 6.8%, which is the highest amount we've seen since June of 1982. Now, although it's 6.8% across the board, some goods and some services are getting hurt worse than others. Beef is up almost 21%, hotels are up over 25%, used cars are up over 31%, rental cars are up over 37%, and gasoline is up over 58% in just the last year. Now, this is a big problem because the poor and the middle class feel the effects of inflation way more than the wealthy do, and they account for over 81% of the US population. Now, one reason for that is the wealthy invest their money into assets like real estate, stocks, and cryptocurrency, and these types of assets outpace inflation on an annual basis. Now, when we're experiencing higher than normal inflation, it's even more important to get your money into assets because the value of the dollar is going down faster and faster. And if you're going to protect that, you want to put it into great hedges against inflation. Now, since the wealthy have many of these types of assets, they don't feel the pain of inflation the same way the poor and the middle class do. So what are the reasons we're experiencing these high levels of inflation right now? Well, it really comes down to two different issues. On one hand, we have our supply chain issues, and on the other hand, it's our money supply. Now, as far as supply chain issues go, the US imports a lot of its goods outside of the country in places like China. Now, China in particular is actually the largest source of imports for all US imported goods. Now, because of this, when the whole pandemic took place and the lockdowns were happening, it had a huge effect on the US because China shut down a lot of its factories, which made it hard to manufacture goods. Now, with fewer goods being made and many employees being laid off, many of the experts predicted that there would be a massive drop-off in demand. But what actually happened is there was just a major shift in gears. You see, instead of paying for services like eating out or attending events, Americans resorted to buying more goods than services. So this created a real problem because on one hand, there's a growing demand for these goods, and on the other hand, there's a shortage of supply due to all the shutdowns. Well, the manufacturing plants were able to open back up again, but immediately they experienced a massive backlog and they had to work overtime just to catch up. Now, unfortunately, this would just be the beginning of their problems because what happened is they would send their goods to the boats, which is how they ship everything to America, and once they arrived there, they would see that the ports were severely backed up, especially in places like California. And a big reason for this is there's a massive labor shortage going on in America. You see, once the goods are off the port, you need truck drivers to deliver them to the warehouses and the stores. And unfortunately, right now, there's a serious truck driver shortage. So because of this shortage, it delays the entire process to where it could take literally weeks for your goods to be picked up by the truck drivers. Now, the administration decided that they could solve this problem by opening up the ports 24/7. However, the problem is this is not a time issue. This is a labor shortage problem. We need truck drivers, period, if we're going to solve this crisis. So that's one side of the problem. The other side of the problem is the money supply issue. And it's well known that the more money you print, the more it loses its value. Well, in 2020 alone, the US printed over 20% of the entire US money supply. So you can imagine what that does to the value of our dollar. Well, here's a few interesting stats that will show you how much value the dollar has lost over the years. Since 1913, the US dollar has lost over 96% of its purchasing power. And if you go to 1950, a dollar in 1950 has the purchasing power today of $11.48. A gallon of milk in 1960 was $1, whereas now it currently sits at $3.66. And gasoline back in February of 1999 sat at only 90 cents a gallon on average for the nation, inflation, and today it sits at $3.38. We're also not slowing down the printing of money this year with proposals like the Build Back Better social and infrastructure plans, which plan to spend trillions of dollars more. You see, inflation at this point has really gotten to the point where even the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, has completely changed his tune on inflation. He's completely taken back his statement where he said that inflation was transitory. So in response to this high inflation, the Fed has finally started tapering their purchases of treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities, which they were spending $120 billion a month ever since the pandemic started back in March of 2020. You see, many people are waking up to the fact that inflation is real and we need to do something about it fast before we destroy the value of our currency. So with that said, here are 3 things you can do to protect yourself from inflation. Number 1, start investing your money into assets, especially assets that are great hedges against inflation. Think things like real estate, things like cryptocurrency, value stocks, which are basically stocks with high dividend yields or even low PE ratios. Number 2, invest in yourself. Try to take this opportunity to improve your skill set so that you can become more valuable to the marketplace. This could be learning new skill sets that you can use to start a new side hustle, or it could just mean extra training to improve at the current job that you already have. Either way, with this labor shortage that we're experiencing, employees have more power than ever to negotiate wages. So if you come into this with an improved skill set and bringing more value to your company, this is the best time to try and increase your income. And finally, number 3, eliminate all high interest debt. You see, if you have major credit card debt right now and you're living paycheck to paycheck, all it takes is for your cost of living to go up just a little bit and you're in major trouble. You see, your monthly cost of food could easily go from $500 a month to $600 a month just from inflation alone. So to protect yourself, you need that buffer, you need that extra room in your budget, and by eliminating your high interest debt, you can allow yourself that room for inflation. And also, one bonus tip since you guys made it this far in the video, next time you head down to your grocery store, look for non-perishable items. Think of things like paper towels, think of things like canned goods, because these things can last for a very long time. And because of that, if you're buying it today versus down the road, even if you don't need it today, you're buying it at a discount, especially if inflation continues to get worse. So anyways, these are my recommendations of how you can battle inflation, and I hope you guys also found this video interesting to find out exactly what's going on with this entire inflation crisis. Hopefully we can overcome this crisis very soon. But with that said, if you found any value at all from this video and you enjoyed it, do me a favor and smash that like button, and if you haven't already done so, definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell to watch more content like this. Also, let me know your thoughts or questions in the comments below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Finally, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Out of State Investor. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.